Hello everybody, today I'm going to be showing you how to make some DIY candles. So while doing this I did make a lot of mistakes. I covered myself in wax, I nearly ruined a pan. Basically I learned a lot along the way. But the good thing about me making these mistakes is that you can learn from my mistakes and I can tell you how to not do what I did and make a lot better candles. So I did make quite a collection. My first one turned out like this. Probably not too great. Quite bumpy. And then towards the end they were looking a bit more like this, which I'm a little bit more happy with. A little bit smoother. And I learned how to make a lot less mess along the way. So stick with me and I'll show you how to and how not to make a candle. Oh, I didn't say, I used cookie cutters. I'm going to show you how to make candles using cookie cutters as templates, just so you can do all different shapes. Right, let's get going. So the first thing I done was collected all the cookie cutter shapes I wanted. I wanted quite a collection so I could try different methods on them all. I used some tinfoil to cover the back of all my cookie cutters individually. As I go along you're going to realise this step isn't 100% necessary. You can just use tinfoil to cover the tray that you're going to let them set on. If you do choose to do this step, you just want to make sure you've got a piece of tinfoil a little larger than the cookie cutter and just cover the back of it. Pull it as tight as you can to make sure that you don't get creases in the back of your candle. I just used a little bit of tape to hold it into place. You don't need it to be too airtight, but just to make sure it doesn't fall off. I used crayons to colour my candles, so I just took all the paper off them and broke them into quarters. I will say that after burning my candles, I would suggest maybe investing in some candle colouring because the wax for some reason doesn't burn as well as candle colouring does. You can get candle dye really cheap though. I bought about 12 colours for £5 on Amazon. Okay, so I chose to use some candle wicks with the metal base already attached, but you can choose some without. I used a little bit of blue tack just to hold the candle wick into place on the bottom of the tin foil. I just made sure the candle wick was sitting how I wanted it to. You can use something to hold it into place, but mine stayed quite still so I didn't need to. But these ones I stuck the wick slightly differently because I wanted them to stand up, so I just stuck with blue tack again the wick base to the bottom of the cookie cutter. And now we're all ready to melt the wax. Okay, so when I moved to the kitchen is when things started to go a little bit wrong, so I might tell you to do things differently. I bought these paraffin wax pellets from Amazon and this 2 kilogram bag was I think about £8. I tried double boiling and microwaving my wax to see which worked better. I'd probably say that microwaving worked best. If you choose to double boil, you want to boil your water in the pan and then put the jug in. You want to make sure that you don't put too much water in the pan, or when you put the jug in it may overflow. You want to just stir it continuously, making sure that it doesn't burn and make sure it doesn't get too hot. With microwaving it, I put it in for a minute, took it out, stirred it and then repeated until it was completely melted. You may want to do it for less though, because your microwave may be a little bit hotter than mine. When it was almost completely melted, I added a small piece of crayon, or you can add your candle dye, and just let it melt in, stirring it to make sure it didn't burn again. got a little bit creative here and decided to try using caramel flavouring for baking. Now it did work, but the smell wasn't that strong, so I would suggest using candle scent. I think you want to put in roughly around a tablespoon of the scent, but it also depends on how much wax you're melting and how big of a candle you're making. Now when it's completely melted, you want to take the water off the heat and take the jug out and let it cool down a little bit before you try pouring it. Fun fact and a tip, when you put your jug down, make sure you put it on a flat surface, because I managed to spill wax all over the kitchen. So pouring the wax straight into the candle mould when it was still really hot did not work. Just watch. And here we go. No, didn't work. So from trial and error, I learned that if you use a spoon to make a tiny layer at the bottom of your mould, it will harden really quickly and it won't escape. Then you can just pour the rest in once that initial layer has hardened. You can see some of my candles looking lumpy here. That's because my wax started to harden and was already going lumpy, so just make sure it's completely smooth. If it does start to harden, put it back in the microwave or back on the boiler until it's completely smooth again. So I left my candles overnight to set, and in the morning they were completely hard and ready to be taken out. You can really see the difference between the first ones I made and some of the last ones I made. The last ones are just a lot cleaner and a lot smoother. I think this one is probably my favourite. Okay, so if you did put aluminium foil on the back, now you just want to remove it. It should come off quite easily. And then you just want to gently push your candles out of the mould. Don't push too hard because you do not want it to break at this stage. Then you can gently ease the wick up. It might be a little bit stuck in the wax, but it will come out quite easily. Then just trim the wick to about 1/4 of an inch. You can get proper wick cutters, but scissors worked absolutely perfectly for me. Right, so there it is guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope your candles look a little bit better than mine. I am a complete novice at this, so all my DIY videos are basically going to be telling you how to learn from my mistakes. So, different approach, but hopefully you'll like it. I think the finished product turned out pretty good. I definitely got the theory down. So like and subscribe and comment and let me know once you've made your own how they turn out. Hope it was helpful and I'll see you later. Bye.